Did you know that over 100,000 people could be forced to leave the UK by 2025 due to shocking new immigration rules? That's right, if you think you're safe, you might want to think again. Whether you're a skilled worker, a student, or even a family member hoping to reunite with loved ones, these new regulations could change everything. The government is tightening the rules, making it harder for many to stay, and it could affect you. What's worse? Some of these changes are so unexpected, you might not even know you're at risk until it's too late. So, who exactly has to leave? What's going to happen to those who don't meet the new criteria? Stick around because in the next few minutes, we'll reveal everything you need to know. Trust us, you won't want to miss this. Your future in the UK could depend on it. Number 10. Visa overstays and deportation risks. 1. Of the most alarming aspects of the UK's new immigration rules is the zero-tolerance policy on visa overstays. If you're in the UK on a visa, you probably know that once it expires, you need to leave or renew it. But under the new rules coming in 2025, the consequences for overstaying are much more severe than before. In the past, individuals who overstayed their visa could sometimes fly under the radar for a while. But now, the government is cracking down on illegal stays. Anyone caught overstaying could face immediate deportation, which means being sent back to their home country within days. And the worst part? You may face a long-term ban from returning to the UK. For many, that could mean losing any future opportunities in the country altogether. So, how do you avoid this risk? The most important thing to remember is to always be on top of your visa status. Keep track of the expiration date and start the renewal process early. Don't wait until the last minute. If you've overstayed, you should consider seeking legal advice to understand your options. The consequences of missing your visa's renewal date or remaining in the UK without authorization are just too serious to ignore. This is your wake-up call. Don't let an expired visa become your ticket to deportation. Get ahead of these changes before they catch you off guard. If you found this information helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates on UK immigration changes and tips to protect your future. Don't risk getting stuck in a situation that could cost you everything. Hit that subscribe button so you're always prepared. Number 9. Tougher enforcement on illegal immigration. The UK government is taking immigration enforcement to a whole new level in 2025. And it's going to affect everyone, whether you're here legally or not. In the past, immigration enforcement was often seen as a behind-the-scenes operation. But the government is now introducing tougher measures to root out those living in the UK without proper authorization. What does this mean for those who are in the UK illegally? For starters, the government is ramping up efforts to identify, detain, and deport individuals who are overstaying their visas or entered the country without permission. Immigration raids, random checks, and more border control measures will be implemented, making it harder for those living in the shadows to stay under the radar. One of the most disturbing aspects of this crackdown is that it could impact people who may not even know they're at risk. For example, if you're on a temporary visa that has expired, or you've been living here without proper documentation, the new enforcement measures might catch up with you faster than you expect. The penalties for being caught are severed deportation, fines, and a possible ban from re-entering the UK for years. The government's approach is becoming much less tolerant, leaving little room for error. If you're in the UK without the proper paperwork, the best thing you can do is seek legal advice immediately. There may be options available to regularize your status before the stricter enforcement kicks in. Number 8. Impact on students. If you're an international student in the UK, 2025 might bring some unsettling changes that could affect your future plans. Under the new immigration rules, students are facing tighter restrictions and shorter timeframes. When it comes to staying in the country after graduation, these changes are part of the UK government's strategy to control immigration and focus on individuals who can contribute directly to the economy. One of the most significant shifts is the limited window international students will have to stay in the UK once they finish their studies. In the past, graduates could stay for months, even years, to search for work or build a life in the UK. However, the new regulations will restrict this period significantly, pushing graduates to secure a job offer quickly or face having to leave the country. This change is particularly concerning for students in fields where securing a job right away may not be guaranteed. With the government prioritizing high-skilled roles in certain sectors, graduates from other disciplines may find themselves scrambling to meet the new criteria or forced to return to their home countries earlier than expected. Another challenge students will face is the increased pressure to find work in the UK. Not only will you have to meet the salary threshold set by the government, but you'll also need to prove that the job is in a critical sector to be eligible for a work visa. For students already here or planning to study in the UK, it's crucial to start thinking about your future job prospects well before you graduate. If you're hoping to stay after finishing your degree, you'll need to be proactive in seeking out opportunities in high-demand industries and make sure you meet the new immigration requirements. These changes could dramatically reshape the student experience in the UK, so be prepared. Number 7. Uncertainty around EU nationals' rights since Brexit. The rights of EU nationals in the UK have been in a state of flux, and the 2025 immigration changes are only adding to that uncertainty. While many EU citizens were able to remain in the UK under the EU settlement scheme, the path ahead is becoming much less clear for those who missed the application deadline or have not yet secured settled status. One of the biggest concerns for EU nationals is the uncertainty surrounding their ability to stay long-term in the UK. While the government initially allowed EU citizens to continue living and working in the UK, post-Brexit, the rules are becoming much stricter as the country moves away from freedom of movement. For those who haven't yet applied for the settled or pre-settled status, the clock is ticking. By 2025, anyone without official status may face serious obstacles in renewing visas or securing new residence rights. But even for those who have already received settled status, new rules could impact their ability to extend their stay or re-enter the UK if they leave for an extended period. The UK government is likely to introduce more rigorous checks, making it harder for EU nationals to enjoy the same freedoms they once had under EU law. Additionally, the cost of applying for visa extensions or permanent residency could increase, putting an added burden on EU nationals who are trying to secure long-term residency in the UK. This situation creates a lot of financial and emotional strain for individuals and families who thought they had stability but are now facing unexpected hurdles. With the 2025 rules looming, EU nationals in the UK need to stay informed and act quickly to protect their future. The landscape is rapidly changing, and those who don't act may find themselves in a vulnerable position. Number 6. Limited refugee and asylum seeker protections. 1 of the most controversial changes in the UK's 2025 immigration rules revolves around refugee and asylum seeker protections. The government is significantly tightening the criteria for granting asylum, meaning fewer people fleeing persecution or conflict will qualify to stay in the UK. These changes come as part of a broader crackdown on immigration, with the UK aiming to limit the number of individuals entering the country under asylum claims. Under the new rules, only those who can prove they are fleeing immediate danger or political persecution will stand a chance of being granted asylum. This means that individuals fleeing other types of hardships, such as economic crises or generalized violence, may no longer meet the new, narrower definition of what qualifies for asylum. As a result, many people who might have been granted protection in the past may now be sent back to situations of danger or instability. Another key aspect of these changes is the increased scrutiny asylum seekers will face when applying for. The UK will likely require more detailed documentation and evidence to support claims, making the process both more difficult and time-consuming. Applicants who fail to provide sufficient proof may face rejection. Even if their claims are valid, the government's new policies also focus on limiting the number of asylum seekers allowed to stay, reducing the chances for those who have already entered the country without proper documentation. Asylum seekers who are denied will face quicker deportation, and many may find themselves in long-term limbo, with no clear path to permanent residency. These changes create an uncertain future for thousands of people hoping to seek refuge in the UK. For many, these new rules could mean a forced return to countries where their safety is at risk. The tightening of these protections is raising concerns about the UK's commitment to offering a safe haven to those in need of asylum. Number 5. Stricter English language requirements. One of the key changes to the UK's immigration rules for 2025 is the implementation of stricter English language requirements. As part of the government's focus on ensuring that immigrants can integrate effectively into British society, applicants for visas, whether for work, study, or family reunification, will now need to demonstrate a higher level of proficiency in English than ever before. The minimum language requirement is being raised, which means that many immigrants who could have passed with a lower level of proficiency in the past may now find themselves struggling to meet the new criteria. This change is aimed at ensuring that newcomers are able to fully participate in the workforce, communicate with others, navigate daily life in the UK without the barriers that come with a lack of language skills. For individuals applying for work visas, the new rules will be particularly challenging. The government expects applicants to prove they can engage in conversations and tasks at a higher level of fluency. This is particularly relevant for skilled workers who may be applying in industries like healthcare, engineering, or education. Even if the job itself does not require advanced language skills, the immigration authorities are now prioritizing an applicant's ability to function independently in a linguistically diverse society. Additionally, applicants for student visas will need to meet tougher language standards to prove they can succeed academically in English. This means more rigorous testing requirements and possibly additional language courses for students from non-English speaking countries. The impact of these changes will be felt by thousands of individuals who had hoped to come to the UK for work, study, or family reasons. For many, achieving a higher level of fluency in a second language could be a major challenge, requiring more time and effort to fulfill the new visa requirements. Number 4. Increased financial thresholds. One of the most significant changes to the UK's immigration rules in 2025 is the increase in financial thresholds for visa applicants, whether you're applying for a work visa, a family visa, or a student visa. The new financial requirements will mean that applicants must show higher income levels or savings in order to qualify. This change will likely have a far-reaching impact on thousands of people, especially those who are already living in the UK or planning to move there. For work visa applicants, the government is raising the minimum salary requirement, which means you will need to demonstrate that your job offers a salary that meets the new higher threshold. This is particularly challenging for individuals in certain sectors where wages have traditionally been lower, such as the hospitality industry or social care professions. If you are currently employed in one of these fields, you may find that your current salary no longer meets the new criteria, making it harder to stay in the UK or secure a new visa. Family visa applicants are also going to feel the strain of these increased financial thresholds. In the past, sponsoring a family member to join you in the UK required demonstrating a minimum level of income. However, with the new rules, this minimum income will be higher, which could make it more difficult for individuals on lower salaries to bring their relatives into the country. This is particularly concerning for families who may be already struggling with the high cost of living. Additionally, student visa applicants will also need to prove they have access to more funds in order to support themselves. While studying in the UK, for many, this could mean raising more money in savings or finding ways to demonstrate that they have the financial backing necessary to cover tuition fees and living expenses. These higher financial thresholds are a significant hurdle for many people hoping to come to the UK, and it will require careful planning and additional financial resources to meet the new requirements. Number 3. Changes to family visas. One of the most impactful changes in the UK's 2025 immigration rules is the restructuring of family visas. For years, family reunification has been a key part of the UK's immigration policy, allowing individuals to sponsor their loved ones to join them in the country. However, the new regulations will introduce stricter eligibility criteria, making it significantly harder for many families to be reunited. under the new rules. Individuals sponsoring family members, whether it's a spouse, children, or parents, will face more stringent requirements. One of the biggest changes is the increased financial burden placed on sponsors. The government is raising the minimum income threshold for sponsors, meaning they must earn a higher salary to prove that they can financially support their family members without relying on public funds. This change will especially affect individuals who are already living in the UK on lower incomes, as they may no longer meet the new criteria. Additionally, family members applying for visas will face more rigorous checks. In the past, it was relatively straightforward for individuals to prove their relationship with the sponsor. However, the new rules will require more detailed documentation and evidence of the relationship's genuineness. This means that couples, for example, may need to provide additional proof of their relationship history, such as photos, communication records, and joint financial documents. This added scrutiny could delay processing times and lead to more rejections for applicants who fail to meet the new standards. There is also concern over longer waiting periods for family visa applications. With the new procedures and higher demand, processing times could increase significantly, leaving families separated for longer periods. These changes to family visas will create substantial challenges for many people hoping to bring their loved ones to the UK. For those already navigating the system, it's essential to be prepared for the more demanding criteria that could affect their ability to reunite with family members. Number 2. Limited extensions on temporary visas. One of the most significant shifts in the UK's immigration system for 2025 is the reduction in the number of extensions available for temporary visas. In previous years, those on temporary visas, whether for work, study, or other short-term purposes, could often apply for an extension if they wanted to stay longer. However, under the new rules, the government is drastically limiting the ability to extend these visas. It's making it much harder for individuals to remain in the UK for an extended period. For workers, this means that many will not be able to simply extend their temporary visas indefinitely. Once their current visa expires, they may be forced to leave the UK and apply for a completely new visa if they want to stay longer. This change is especially concerning for individuals in sectors where securing a new visa might not be straightforward or easy. For example, workers in industries facing labor shortages may find themselves caught in limbo, unable to stay or reapply for new work visas due to the stricter rules. The restrictions will also affect students in short-term visitors who have been allowed to extend their stay in the UK by renewing their visas. With the introduction of limited extensions, many students, especially those finishing their courses or working in part-time jobs, may face uncertainty about whether they can stay long enough to find work or make the most of their time in the year. Moreover, those who do manage to apply for extensions will likely face longer processing times and higher costs, further adding to the stress of navigating the new system. With limited options for staying in the UK beyond the original terms of their temporary visa, individuals may need to explore alternative routes, such as applying for permanent residency or finding a different visa that meets the new criteria. Number 1. The high-skill immigration TERTHA. Most significant change in the UK's immigration system for 2025 centers around the high-skill immigration TERTH, which is being reshaped to prioritize specific talent and expertise. Under the new rules, individuals applying for high-skilled work visas will face much stricter criteria regarding both their job roles and qualifications. While the UK has long welcomed skilled workers to fill critical roles in sectors such as technology, healthcare, and engineering, the 2025 regulations aim to narrow the scope of who qualifies as a high-skilled worker. For one, is introducing more detailed industry-specific requirements. This means that applicants in non-priority sectors may struggle to secure a visa even if they possess advanced degrees or professional experience. The focus will be on attracting individuals whose skills directly align with the UK's economic needs, which could include areas like AI, cybersecurity, renewable energy, and medicine. Individuals with skills in other fields, such as hospitality or retail, may no longer be able to secure work visas as easily. Another key change involves the minimum salary threshold for high-skilled workers. The UK government is raising the bar for how much applicants must earn in order to qualify for a work visa. This means that many professionals, especially those in industries with traditionally lower salaries, such as the arts or education, may find themselves excluded from the high-skill tier altogether. If you're in one of these fields, you may face difficulties securing a work visa or extending your stay. In addition, the government is likely to introduce stricter measures for proof of skill level. Applicants will have to provide more detailed documentation, such as work portfolios, professional certifications, or recommendations from industry experts to demonstrate their expertise. The new high-skill immigration tier will ultimately create a more competitive landscape for skilled workers, leaving many to face unprecedented challenges when trying to enter or stay in the UK. As we move forward through this journey together, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. If you'd like to continue exploring, subscribe, and stay with us as we uncover more insights, step by step. We'd love to hear where you're watching from. Drop a comment below, and if something in this video stood out to you, feel free to share your thoughts. We're all in this conversation, unfolding the story, one chapter at a time.